We need Sue.
Right. Well, we'll start with this and see if we can
Yeah.
do it.
Right, hold on, Jonathan, we got a call. We can't open this hearing without a board.
Okay.
No, it's mine. It's probably better than
Are you showing us something that we haven't seen already?
No, well, kind of. I just did a little, just a sketch.
Wait a minute.
No, all we're doing,
Come on.
No,
all we're doing is saying, we're taking what you've seen, say, asking you about pushing it over and see if that's going to address some of your concerns. Informal, we're looking at this as discussion, very brief.
Very brief.
Yeah.
It's like 10
It's
minutes,
like
honest to God.
10 minutes is plenty.
Okay.
Because all we're discussing, not just because I went over the list that Betsy has, and I had a couple of questions. It was very helpful. The only thing we're talking, I'll let Jay
Wait a
walk.
minute.
Wait, we're gonna have more people or else.
I just saw a board go up, and I'm thinking nobody's seen. If it's new, nobody's seen it.
Hello.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Sue.
You're on speakerphone.
You want to go on video?
Do you want to do? They
well, yes. So have Steve maybe, or I'll try to call him with the FaceTime right now.
Yeah, it might be easier if you call me because I don't have you set up, but you probably don't have me set up.
Well, I can just, good. Let me try it. Should be calling you now.
Where is it?
Hello.
Hello. That was easy.
she sees what's on the map.
What nice place is she at?
Wait, turn this
Gotta turn the phone off.
Turn the phone.
Yeah.
Turn the phone off.
Turn the phone off.
Okay, so hold on a second. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
better. Much better.
All right, but now I'm off the conference. Is that all right?
We can still
Yeah, we can hear
I
you.
hear you better.
Very good. All right,
Okay,
wonderful. Hi, everybody.
You want to show her everybody?
Turn her around so she can at least see.
There's
Seeing you, Steve.
Like a selfie.
Show her that.
Wait a minute. That's what I was
Yeah,
doing.
Mark.
Okay.
There's the audience. Say hello.
Yes. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Sue.
Okay.
Okay. So we're. You ready?
So,
Yep.
All
I'm
right.
ready. Get it.
can you see it?
Probably over closer.
Well, can you get it a little
Yeah.
bit closer?
Yes.
So this is what we're talking about is a modified venue submission.
Yeah. Sue, let me open the hearing, okay?
Perfect. Thank
All
you.
right. All right.
Yeah.
I'm
I'll
ready
get you
to.
quiet over here. But
I'm ready to start the continuation of the public hearing for 255 Merriam Street, and we're talking about. We're going to hold you to 10 minutes, John.
That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
So, shoot. What is it you want to talk
What
about?
in the past, we've been coming up discussing, we intentionally discussed both a south entrance and a north entrance on this project. I've asked the Bybees, and we discussed it with, let's tell the board what we would like and get their reaction, but also try to take into account their comment. And so Jay will correct me, in fact, it'll probably be easier for me to use the pointer.
No, I'm okay because I don't want to get in the way.
Jay, the gray hatching, that's already been shown to the board.
Correct.
And the concern that the gray hatching ends up going through a stand of Norway maples, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, and at least one or two of the board members expressed concern, even though they're Norways, and said, want you to push it over further. So, first of all, we like the idea of north for two reasons, or the Bybees do. One, because if it's a south entrance, there's a lot of historic buildings. It gets kind of cluttered, whatever you do over there. Over here, there's no buildings. Number two, if the Bybees have no plans to put a garage, but in consulting with people, if a garage was ever put on this house, it would be put on this side. That's the place. That's the logical place for it. So for those two reasons, those are the two main reasons. I asked them, let's say where we would like the the entrance to be, and we're showing you a north entrance, and what we're showing you here is running it on the right-hand side of that row of Norway maples, with the result that we save those. And then what they would like to do, where there's no backyard here, they're once they get to this barn, starting to pull it over, will be on the house, pull it over, so they'll save a little bit more backyard and swing it. Jay said he's very confident that he can even run it over a little bit of the leach field. So we wanted to get your reaction. We would prefer to run it here and take out those Norway maples and put a very aggressive screen right here. But if the board wants to push it over, you know, this would be fine. It's not first choice, but this would be fine. We'll push it closer to the house, get it farther away from the neighbors. And so the only purpose for tonight is we just wanted to get your reaction. I know there's only 3 out of 5 of you, but your reaction, or 4 out of 5 now, but your reaction will be helpful.
It's, I don't know how you isolate one thing, like the driveway location, and exclude all the other issues that would.
Well, I think you can.
Why don't? I didn't realize you were a land planner.
Yes, you can.
Were you in my GSD class? I'm sorry.
I was in
missed it.
I was in back row per usual.
So I'll give you just real quick.
Yeah,
This
right.
is only go back about 30
No, but
seconds.
this is helpful. We want
All
to
right, so if you're driving up here at night and you got your lights on, you're going to probably turn your brights on, and those are going to shine in that house and that house. So, bringing this up and just going straight up, so that you're not shining.
That accepts where the
house.
lot dividing line is.
Right. No, that means, yeah.
Jesus. Wasn't one of our comments, can you look at bringing the lot line down and bringing the house down into the area where there's more level contouring?
Oh, this
I'm only responding to.
This
the
house
one
is
thing.
is from that.
For the one
of the
thing.
first
I mean,
ones,
Yeah, but isn't this discussion
Oh.
the same whether the line is here, Al, or here, or here? Isn't this discussion exactly the same?
What difference does it make? I mean, why is it? Yes, it does matter. If the line is right at the barn, what then? You're not going to put that little fish hook in the end because there's no room to make the fish hook.
Right.
So it's just, how do you?
Well, I still think the best thing is to bringing it around here and eliminating this. That's, to my mind, the best. It's less asphalt, less, that. The issue had to do with it being so close here, and you've got a little bit of room to shift it if you need to, and to put plantings in there or something.
And someone on the board's reaction was they didn't want to run it through those 2 historic structures. I know that the Meyers Bybee would rather not.
So it's a difficult lot, or difficult pair of lots.
Well, is it more that, it's more there's a couple of choices, but you've run driveways that close to lot lines before.
Narrower, but those, I think we're talking about lot lines that were narrower, or lot sizes that were
Each
narrower.
lot is different. You're looking at
Yeah.
all the site conditions. It's not about whether, it's not a geometric exercise.
I know Betsy had a good, I was discussing one of her comments, she made it clear that the board did not want to get a feel of 2 lots with a straight line and a row of trees separating them, and we discussed ways that can be addressed.
So many issues.
But we were hoping that we could have a discussion of just, south entrance versus north entrance, just to get a reading from because a lot of other stuff plays off of that, and until a decision's made on that, it's hard to basically, it's coming in with 2 proposals each time.
Well, I can, you know, my initial thing that I said is having that little fish hook there, putting people's headlights right in those two houses. And that, there isn't much room to screen it really.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, I would think that would be a rude thing to do to people.
Mhm. Okay.
Just speaking completely as though you can isolate, it's not taking one of your fingers off and saying, do you like this finger better than any of the others? But just taking that one question and answering it, I would rather see the driveway where it is than moved over closer to the lot line. But that's just me. I don't know what other people think about that.
The driveway
Can you hear
on the
me?
right side?
Yes.
Yeah, well, on the, if it has to go on the left side, there rather than the gray, but
Oh, yeah.
if it has to go on the left
But
side.
it doesn't have to have that turn in just
No.
to turn back.
No.
That's crazy.
I don't
Right.
understand that at all.
Well, that's so they can have the driveway court and the garages where they are.
Oh, no, well,
No.
this layout, this house
No.
is totally changed. This was one of the first scenarios.
No, it's not about that. I don't know
This
what
house,
it's about.
now it's way down here, but this was the closest that we had come to a layout that we had. This was our primary layout that we liked, so I just wanted to show that. It's a subtle difference for going from through the tree line and then saving the tree line.
I think Sue wanted to say something.
Yeah, I looking at the plans. Steve could bring them back. Yeah. Could you
Yeah.
go back to the plans a little bit?
Yeah.
Getting a great picture of everybody's shoes and needs. This is wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. You know, a couple times it's come to pass at the planning board that we've been asked to approve one lot and then sort of make suppositions or judgments and that are not real about the adjoining lots. You know, we've had this happened over on Love Lane, and that is what's going on to my mind right now. It's like making changes on one little lot, but I can't see what's really going to happen in the rear lot. I'd much prefer to have a couple choices all fully presented. You know, like here's the house, this is the way we position the house in the back, here's how we would come in on this side. It just looks like there's not been a lot of changes made, except I understand you're just coming in here to think about saving the tree line. Okay, I guess that's a good thing to save the tree line, but I can't say to you that I'd say, oh, this is terrific, let's go ahead and do this. Not at
Here's
all.
the overall picture.
From these pictures as they're laid out right now, it's very hard for me to envision what will happen on the back lot if we're just talking about doing a few movement things on a driveway. I can't see how that would
It's all
work.
too closely related.
Okay, we're all saying the same thing.
All right, so that's all. That was very disjointed, but that's what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
That was pretty good, Sue. That was better than I was able to do.
I agree.
That was good. Well, she hasn't been here all night.
That's true. She's not punchy.
No, you're not punchy.
I haven't been sitting there all night.
Right. Okay. So you got some feedback.
I got some feedback, although I hear from Sue, Sue would still like to see kind of two alternate proposals.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is that, you know, looking at it piecemeal doesn't work.
No, I understand.
It's too tight.
You're saying there's too many variables.
Right.
Variables. I mean, it could be that you could do one on the right side. It would be a home run, and we're just not seeing it right now. It could be that you could do one on the left side that would be, you know, would be indisputably the better of the two. When I'm looking at something like this, as you know, as a designer, right now 50 things are going in. You know, I'm looking at 50 things in my mind's eye, different variables that can do this or that or the other thing. And some of them have the driveway on the right, and some have it on the left. You know, and if it has to be on the left, I'd rather have it out of the tree line. I guess that's as much as far as I can count.
You have to look at it holistically. I mean, there's no other way to do it.
Yep.
It's one big project.
Correct, involving both lots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
You gave us 10 minutes.
thank you. Sorry, I
Thank
wish we
you.
could be more explicit, but
No, we knew
continuing?
we hadn't changed much from before, so we
Right.
were hoping to just get some direction on this, which is a central issue,
yeah,
north versus south.
yeah.
I think it's going, if we come back with you and also show you something from the south, frankly, we're going to show you something that comes from here and lines over here. Grade changes here, two of these here, where you can see it is a drop there, but we'll get both and try to come up with a more complete proposal. All right, I hear that on the tree line.
I want to add something to this. I did talk with legal counsel for the town. I talked with Elizabeth Lane about the question you asked about whether this project would require prior historical commission comment or decision relative to the density plan. Her comment was the density plan was much more theoretical and she did not see that that would trigger. However, she felt that the flexible subdivision, the planning board needed to look at the purpose, which is to preserve historic and cultural and natural resources.
Don't we have to approve the density plan first, though?
Yes, but her comments to me was that the density plan would not trigger historical commission review.
Okay.
But the planning board clearly had purview in the flexible to impose conditions relative to the preservation of the existing property.
So the density determination plan is theoretical.
Right, but she also added a comment to me on that, in that the density plan assumes no waivers.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah, I don't
somewhere
wanna
along the
let's
line
don't
there
get into
was.
those tall
Okay.
weeds tonight, if
Okay.
you don't mind.
Okay.
I just, it's not, in other words, it's not really an A&R plan. It's sort of a funny animal. It's not an A&R plan. You couldn't go out to,
Right.
if we signed off on that plan, you couldn't go out tomorrow and build the density determination plan. You couldn't do it.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to make that clear.
And that's
Because
why
that's come up a couple of times in the discussion, is that, well, if you don't if we don't grant the flexible, we'll just build what we're showing in the density determination plan, but that's not actually true. It's not really an A&R plan.
especially where it allows the old frontage.
Frontage,
Yeah.
exactly. The frontage is the kicker. Just want to get that on record.
Although this one uses the new frontage,
Yes.
Yeah.
this density.
Yeah, the only waiver is the dead end street. Everything else is 100%.
Right. But so if it isn't, see, if it's theoretical, then I agree with town council that the demolition delay doesn't come into play.
Right.
If it isn't theoretical, if the default is if this is presented as essentially an A&R plan, not a density proof plan. You see the distinction?
Mhm.
If it's presented as though it's an A&R plan, then the question is, does the demolition delay come into play? The key there is the frontage.
But the A&R plan, you couldn't sign off on an A&R for this because it doesn't have the required frontage.
It does,
for the
they
two
just said it
lots.
does.
Not for the 2 lots in this.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That's
He used
what I
the-
just said.
Yeah, he used the new frontage when he did his density rather than the lesser standard. He used the two, this is C, so it's 150, yeah.
He didn't take the deduction.
Then what's your frontage then?
So our existing frontage is 212, so when we do the cul-de-sac for the density, it's each one of the
No, but
lots.
the cul-de-sac would require the waiver.
Yes,
But that's what we're saying, that's the one waiver.
But A&R plans are presented to us with waivers, so we still have to grant the waiver. Yeah, I mean, we've seen A&R plans that require a waiver.
Okay.
A&R or?
I don't think so.
No, not A&R plan.
Well, then a subdivision plan.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But if
Conventional.
it's a real subdivision plan, then my point is still the same. That then wouldn't demolition delay, wouldn't it trigger demolition delay if it was a subdivision plan with one waiver? But it
Steve, I
complied in
don't hear anything anymore.
if it complied in every other way with the subdivision regulations, would that then, if it were presented as a regular subdivision, and they wanted a waiver for that regular subdivision,
But-
forget flexible,
Conventional
wouldn't a conventional subdivision plan, wouldn't demolition delay come into play?
Somewhere along the way.
It would have to.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
a
that's the
question.
see, I don't think the question was exactly detailed enough to Betsy. If she's saying it doesn't come into play, she's thinking it's only a density determination plan, not a conventional subdivision plan.
And that's
Right,
all
but
it
what
is.
they presented was a density,
That's all it
But
is.
overnight, they could change it into a subdivision plan.
And that, I don't know, you probably have a better idea than me. Somewhere along
right,
the
but
way.
it's a situation where you're only going to grant the flexible, you're only going to grant the subdivision if the flexible is used, similar to what you specified in 1.5 Concord.
The only reason for not granting a subdivision is to deny the waiver on the cul-de-sac.
Right.
But that doesn't, the question still is, if this is presented to us, if we say no to the flexible subdivision, and they come back with a conventional subdivision that meets everything but the waiver,
With the dead end.
then we wouldn't be able to rule on that subdivision until demolition delay was gone through.
Right.
When you need a ruling as to whether that came into play then or only when you went to, because you would have to demolish the house and that. The only question would be, did you go through the demolition delay then or when they go to get the permit to demolish? But somewhere along the way, it would have to go through.
No, because it
demolition delay.
postulates the subdivision doesn't work unless that house is torn
That's correct,
down.
yeah.
So we couldn't authorize, I don't think we could say okay to a subdivision plan if we granted the waiver with a house in the middle of the access road. So I think we'd have to get,
I hear what you're saying. Somewhere along the way, a 6-month demolition delay would kick in. I could make an argument for at what point, but yeah, somewhere along the way it would have to happen. I know exactly what you're saying.
So you're recommending that we get a demolition delay?
we were just wondering about what our authority was.
It's mostly a
Could we
procedural.
grant the density determination plan? Could we sign off on that with that house not having gone through demolition delay? And the answer from town council is we can, as long as it's simply a density proof plan. Once it changes magically into a conventional subdivision plan, then I think the rules change.
And it's not a substantive issue, it's just procedurally, at what point would that kick in?
Correct. Yeah.
But this is not what we're dealing with.
No.
So this is all
No, this-
like late night talk.
Just brought up.
Just want to make sure I got that straight.
Well, at least it was an interesting discussion that woke us up.
Well,
Some.
all right. Good. All right. So we're all set?
Thank you.
We'll continue to win?
Yeah.
When are we continuing to?
October 1st at 8:15.
Okay.
And we will be in touch with you if, because there's going to have to be some revisions. If we're, we'll let you know if we're not making that, but I think we will try to make that one. I'll give you a heads up if
Well,
we're not.
it will be continued to that point if you're not ready. I'd like to know a week
Oh,
in
yeah.
advance, and
You'll know more than a week in advance.
No, the documents have to be ready.
Exactly.
Yeah, a week in advance.
so do you want to continue it to the 15th later?
Jen, I don't know how quickly.
No, I would like the earliest possible.
We'll do it that, but you will definitely you'll get more than a week's notice if we're not going to make that.
Okay.
And again, we'll need the plans at least a week before the
Yeah.
presentation.
At least, earlier is better, that works.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
October 1 at 8:15.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, are you guys done now?
We're done.
Almost.
Thanks, Sue.
Yeah,
Oh, lucky you.
good
So I
night.
guess I will see you all at the next meeting.
Sounds good. Enjoy.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you in September.
Where is she?
She's in
Newport.
No, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Other business in minutes? No minutes, no other business? Motion
To adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Jonathan, thanks.
Good thing you reminded me.
Oh.